The following movie is rated R.
Welcome back to the R-Rated podcast. Today, I'm going to give you guys the full update and rundown of how the first 2 weeks have been at my new job. As you know, if you watched episode 40 or listened, now that I have video and audio, you would know that I started a new job. I kind of covered the whole how it was a roller coaster of emotions and what a journey it was to find a job. Thought it was going to be easy, but as you know, I had definitely some ups and downs with the process, but never give up because eventually something will stick and you'll find it. I'm 2 weeks into my job. So, after 2 weeks, you definitely get a feel of what the environment's like, what the vibe is like, you get more of the office drama and tea, you just get more in with the coworkers. So it's a little bit more fun. You form deeper connections and friendships. It's almost like, oh, I'm working in this new job and I have friends now, which also has been really cool. Honestly, all of my coworkers are really, really sweet, and I've been having a great experience with them. I think a lot of us have been going through the same thing, and some people are, in the industry and want to do something creatively. So this is a good way for them to be on set or around it. There's people who aren't in the industry that work for the company, go have their EMT certificate, stuff like that. They went to nursing school or whatever the case may be. It's just really cool to be able to work with those types of people because you kind of get their perspective, and then you get, my perspective / the coworkers that are in the industry as well. And it's just kind of cool to hear your own story. Also, I don't know if you guys are hearing this right now, but it's raining outside right now. It's pouring. And the really scary part is that it was 94 today on set, 94 degrees. So the fact that it's thunderstorming and raining, I'm concerned. I think I feel like the earthquake might happen. So I swear, if I'm recording this episode and there's an earthquake, don't say I didn't warn you. I'm predicting the shit, but I hope I'm wrong. Anyway, back to my job. If you watch the other episode or listen to episode 40, you would know that I work for a COVID testing company. So essentially we do, rapid tests and 24-hour PCR tests, on and off sets. You can come to the office and get tested there, or you can, if you're a production, you can hire, 2 of the staff members or however many you need. Sometimes, you need 4 to 6 people because the production is larger and you're dealing with more people, different tests, and you just want to be prepared for that. And when you're dealing with extras and background actors and stand-ins, it's really important to make sure you have those rapid tests, those, 24-hour tests, just because you're dealing with a lot of people in and out, and just want to have that protection and that safety, because nothing is worse than someone getting COVID on set. So that's where my job steps in. So when I say that I've literally been doing all the different job positions that you can think of that are possible in this, at this company, I've literally done. And I'm not saying it in a bad or negative way, oh, I'm doing this and that. I think it's kind of fun to be around all the different action, kind of be able to play all the different parts, and just kind of see where I fit in and where, what I'm good at, and what is fun, what is not, and where I can help out, where I can't. So they've been having me try out all the different positions at the company, just because they've been needing a lot of new people. So they just want to make sure that you kind of can do it all. So my main job title there is processing and running. So the processing part comes, like I said, a typical day, if you're processing, would be going on set or working at the actual office located in Burbank. So I'm going to go into detail about how it kind of breaks down so you guys can visualize it, because I feel if you kind of have an idea about it, you kind of think okay, I think it goes like this, but I'm going to give you guys a full rundown so you can literally visualize what a day in my shoes looks like. So typically when you work on set, you don't really have control of when you're going to, start. Ideally, you'd want to start at like 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., right? So you can get that like 7 hours of sleep. But when you're in the industry, it's pretty crazy. You don't really get those like standard early normal times. And you have to always set up before the actors come. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes before like the big glamorous stars come and start shooting, right? So that's where I come in and I'm breaking it down. So this is where I come in. I mean, like I said, it takes a whole like village to like make a film. So it's not just like the only thing that's going down at this time, but this is like one thing that's going down on set, like one of the many things going on set um, early morning. So for example, like today, I was scheduled to go on set, right? So I was like, okay, like cool. Like I've already had some experience going on set. I know like the flow and kind of what's expected. So I actually really enjoy being on set. I think it's a great opportunity and great space to meet connections and meet new people just because it opens a lot more doors than me just, being at the office. So whenever I get the opportunity to work on set and do the COVID testing on set, I'm going to take the opportunity just because you never know who you're going to meet on set. You never know what's going to go. Like, it's just luck, connections, being at the right place at the right time. So I'm like, I don't want to miss an opportunity like that. So whenever there's a set opportunity and we're allowed to, go, I take it. So they were like, okay, can you be on set on Monday? I was actually scheduled to go on Wednesday and Friday. And usually, you know, I like I said, I prefer being on set. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it. And then they're like, okay, but like it's gonna be really early this time. And I've been lucky, like the last few times it's been at like one time it was at like 11:30 and we had to stay till like 6 p.m. from 11:30 to 6. And then one time it was like 8 to like 3. It was like super chill times, totally doable, right? Um, but this time it was 4 a.m. So that means I had to be up at like 3 a.m., right? And then I had to like drive to the location. Usually, like two people get to drive the work van and they have to meet at the office before going to set and load up the van with all the equipment and stuff we're going to need for that, morning to test. So if you're like slow and not like a functional person in the morning, it's kind of like a lot. But I think if you have a good coffee or energy drink and you kind of get used to the rhythm, the flow of it, it's not as bad as it seems. But you're 4 a.m. and you're just like 4 a.m. Like, I mean, here, this is how you know you've been up late. It's the eye bags. Like I literally had to slap on all this makeup so I don't look like exhausted because I actually just woke up from a nap because I was exhausted. I woke up at 3. I was on set by 4 a.m. and then I worked like until 2 p.m. So almost like 10 and a half hours. But you do get paid overtime. So anything after 8 hours is overtime. So, depending on how much you make hourly, that can really make a difference. And it really does help and change the paycheck. Like it's crazy. I didn't realize like how much going overtime can, affect that. But I'm not complaining. I mean, like sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to stay overtime. I'm exhausted. Like blah blah blah. But then when you get your paycheck, you're like, okay, I can't be mad. And another cool thing is that they pay weekly. It's not every 2 weeks. So honestly, when I heard that, it was such a plus. It was such a bonus. I was like, I'm in. I need to work here. Like, because a lot of jobs are every 2 weeks. So it's definitely a little bit more difficult to have to wait 2 weeks to get paid. So it is a nice perk and bonus that I like. Anyway, back to like what you have to do. So basically call time's 4 a.m., right? So they're trusting that you will be on set at the right address, the right location by 4 a.m. But like I said, you have to go get the equipment to test the people, like to be able to do the rapid test and all that, right? So essentially, whenever it's call time, like whatever the call time is, you would clock in an hour before that at the office. And usually when set is over, usually clock out like an hour after because you have to drive back and unload everything back at the office. You can't just like leave it in the van. So essentially what goes down is, for example, I would wake up at 3. Follow, like, you're literally going to get like a day in the life of Priscilla. So, and also this is pretty crazy because this is all just like really new and recent. Like before this, I was not waking up that early. I was sleeping in, like, well, sleeping in, because sleeping in for me is like 8:39. I've been waking up like stupid early, like at 7:30, and it's not been the move because I just wish I could sleep in. Like I remember when I was like a teenager, I feel like I was able to sleep until like 10:30 if I wanted to, but I like legit can't do that now. So I'm jealous of anybody who can. Okay, back to my routine. So we get to the office. It's 3 a.m. No one's there. It's pitch black. It's cold. Low key scared that someone can pull up behind me, right? But luckily, usually when you pull up to the office, there's like a light on, like at the door, and everyone's pretty good about being on time. And usually when I pull up, there's always someone there, so I'm not like scared about being there too early, because that could be something to be concerned about, especially being a woman and like living alone or working alone. Especially these like late hours, you never know who's like out and what's going on in that person's life either, right? So just be careful. But once you get to the office, you like you get in, you swipe your card, you get in, you clock in, and then you would go to one of the office and get like the duffel bags that is filled with all the stuff that you would need for the testing. And we do different types of testing, so depending on what the production wants, like what type of testing they want, that's the equipment you would bring. And it's different for every test. So we do we do antigen rapid tests, which you would get the results within like 15 minutes, which is like amazing, right? Like if someone like a background actor comes, like, and we can get through them really quick and it doesn't take forever. But for double safety and to really take that extra precaution, the productions most of the time do PCR as well, which is the 24-hour results. And then they also request a rapid on set. So it's like you already had your like 24-hour like COVID test prior, and that should have been negative before you come to set. And then on top of that, on set, you're still getting a rapid test just to double confirm that you're negative. And so basically, you look at the group message, you kind of like, you're all a part of this group message on this like app called Slack. Everybody's sending each other's schedule, like who's working with who, what's going on. If you have any questions, that's where you would reach out. So you would check that. And for example, it would say like Priscilla and Practitioner is working on this set for this production. At this time, here's the address, right? And then it would say like how many, like maybe it'd say like 150 rapid tests and like 10 PCRs or something. I just whipped that number out, but that it's happened. I've literally, like today we tested like 250 people. So some days are slow, some days are, quick. Like some days you only test like 60 people. Some days you test like only 10 because it's only like certain departments. And then sometimes it's literally just like everyone's getting tested. And usually it's on a Monday where everyone gets tested. So if you work on a Monday, it's going to be busy. But at the same time, it's like, wouldn't you want to have a busy day so that the time goes by faster? Or do you want to not have as many people come in and feel like the time's going by slower, but you're doing less work? I don't know. I was just never one of those people that like, I'd rather just get the work done and have time go by quick and not feel like, okay, like 3 more hours and no one's here, At least like today when it was like super busy and there was like all these people we had to test, like there was always like someone there. Like whenever I'd finish one person, like the next person would already be lined up. So there was never like really like a time to take your like 30-minute break. That's another thing. On set, it's not really that common to get your 30-minute break like you would at like an office job. Or when I work at the office, I do get my 30-minute break. But on set, it's a little crazy because things are always continuous. Things are never like, nobody's like not doing something. There's always somebody doing something, even if there's like a break. So it's like, you kind of just like don't really have the opportunity. Like you might have like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes in between to like eat or get a drink, but honestly, that's kind of where it ends on set, at least, just because there's so much going on. And like I said, these are bigger productions. These aren't like independent, smaller sets. So it's like we're in charge of a shit ton of people. And, if we don't get these people tested quickly, that's holding up the production from being able to shoot and film. So essentially, like, I don't want there to be a line, right? So I want to not get through it quick, like speed through where it's like easy to make mistakes, just like working at your own pace, but also knowing like, there's going to be a line. This isn't something you're going to be like able to just like do quickly and have downtime. Most of the time, you won't have downtime when you work on set. But I mean, like I said, that's not like what I'm there for. So to me, it's not an issue at all. I enjoy it. Like sometimes the call times are exhausting. Like, anybody waking up at 4 a.m., like that's exhausting. Like I feel like before I would come home from the club at like 3, 4 a.m. And now I'm getting up at 3, 4 a.m. to go to work. So your girl's growing up. So after you picked up all the equipment from the office, you click the address that they had sent you in the group chat. Hopefully it's within like a 20 to 30 minute radius, which most of the time it's been like around like downtown LA. At least like the last few shoots that I've been on have been in downtown LA, but it's also common to just be kind of like spread out. So you never know where you're going to end up or where you're going to be, but just know it's somewhere within like the radius. And what's cool is, for the most part, if you're the one that's meeting at the office and taking the van, you don't have to drive your own car, right? So it's like, you're not using your own gas. And if you do get asked to drive to set, they reimburse you by the mileage. So it's honestly pretty amazing. They do take really good care of you. And then once you make it to set, you usually you drive up, you post up to where they want you set up. Usually, since we're like the first people you would see before you're able to go on set and work, we're like usually set up by the entrance, or like we're like the first like stop you would be at before going onto set and working. So you check in. So basically I would set up like a table, like literally like a little pop-up. So you have like the pop-up tent, you set up a table, you got your laptop. And let me tell you about the laptop. I have been Apple all my life. Not like because I just feel like it's because of school. Like I feel Apple, and then our laptops and then iPhones. And next thing you know, everything's Apple, right? So when I'm on set and they're like, "Oh, we're not using any Apple," they use like HP, Windows, whatever. I feel like a grandma. Like I'm like, "How do you use this?" Like typing like with one finger. I'm like, so you set up your pop up, and then you have your table, you have your laptop. Like I said, it's not a MacBook, so I'm literally like typing like a grandma. Like, how does this work? Like, how do I use this? But after you use something more than once and you get the hang of it, it's not like hard anymore. But at first I was like, how do I like, I was like, all I know how to do is charge and like press tab. Basically, after you have everything set up and you're ready to go, you got your chair behind the table, you got your like, it's like a little like portable office basically. And then you create like a line. So you check in with me, and then next to me is an admin who would test you. I don't test you. I'm not allowed or licensed to test you. You have to have a certain license and stuff to be testing people. I literally just check you in, make sure that you really are who you say you are. There's no identity fraud. Just verifying your birthday, making sure if you don't have an account that you do sign up and you have your account, we have your signature, that we're allowed to like test you and all that, like making sure that the release forms are signed. That's what I do on set. Basically just taking care of the check-in part, and then the admin would test. So it's really like a 2-step process. Like you would come up to me, I'd be like, "Hi, like last name." And then, you would give me your last name. I'd look you up in the system, and then it would say like your full information. And then I would be like, "Okay, we're obviously in this production." So I'd link you to that production, order you a test, type in what test it is. And then it prints out like a little sticker, and you put it on the vial, you scan it, and it links the vial to that person on the computer. So that way, like, okay, this is their test, their vial, their sample. Pass it to admin. They do the nose swab. They test the crew, the talent, background actors, whoever needs it. Depending on the test, you wait. If it's a you wait 15 minutes. Once you get the negative results, you're allowed to go work. if it's 24-hour one, usually they had gotten tested the day before. So they already have the results, but they're just doing like an extra like COVID test. Like there's a lot of testing going on. Like I'm like, I feel like every day it's like test. And I'm like, oh my God. And we're also required to test, once a week, which is cool because, working at a COVID testing place, you literally get to test yourself all the time and make sure like, am I safe? Am I good? Which makes me feel better because, you are working around people getting COVID testing. So it's not like there not being a case of, it's not like, coming out positive is impossible. Like it's definitely possible. If anything, if I feel like I would be more surrounded, closer than ever to surrounding myself to a positive case than I would have before, because I was pretty good at like, keeping my distance, making sure that, hanging out with like more of a tighter circle, not really mixing too much, especially just because I have little siblings. My little siblings aren't vaccinated just because they're too young to be vaccinated. So after they get their test results, they head to work and that's it. So it doesn't seem like too crazy. And it's really not. Once you get the flow and the pace of things, it goes pretty well. And after you go through like, however many you're supposed to that day, usually wait like an hour or so after until everyone's done. You clean up your stuff, load the van up, head back to the office, unload the van, make sure everything's there, hand them all the tests that you took, and they if it's not the rapid tests, if it's the ones that are 24-hour, they would basically put them in a bin in like a safe little box, and then drive it to the lab. Like, and there's someone specifically driving to the lab, which is also another position that I do as well. But before I get to that, I want to literally tell you guys the most coincidental moment I have ever experienced at work. Like, if you would have told me, like, you would see this person on set today, I would be like, you're fucking joking. That's impossible. I haven't seen this person in like over 10 years. Like, how? Right? Okay. So, like literally my whole work routine that I just told you about. So imagine me doing that today, right? I'm like in work mode. It's early. It's fucking like 4 a.m. I'm barely like thinking straight. Basically, I needed to drink a coffee to be like functioning. Before everybody was coming to get tested, we even have to like test the COVID people and check them in too. The COVID compliance officers, the ones that are actually physically walking around production and set, making sure, enforcing that you're wearing your mask, keeping that distance, sanitizing stuff, whatever the whole shabam, right? So this girl, she comes and checks in and she tells me her name. And she's like, my name, I'm like, last name. And she tells me her last name and I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, first name. And I remember just like looking at her and I was like, she looks so familiar. But I was like, but the person that she reminded me of, I was like, it can't be her. Like, it's impossible. It can't be her because that person lives in New Hampshire and I'm in Los Angeles. So I was like, it can't be possible. Like, what? And I'm like, what's your first name? And then she tells me her first name. And it was weird because that person had the same first name as the person that I thought that she looked like that was living in New Hampshire. But I was still doubting myself. And I was like, no, it can't be. And I don't want to be that awkward girl. And it's like weird and like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, plus, if it was her, she might recognize me too. And she would have said something, but she didn't say anything at first. So it probably isn't her, right? And I'm just like, whatever. I'm just going to continue working, do my thing. And then, like, a little later, some time goes by and I can kind of tell she's been like staring my direction. And like, we both like, we're like giving each other eye, like, trying not to be too obvious, right? And then I think just like after like an hour or two, she's like, fuck it, I'm just going to ask. She comes up to me and she's like, are you Priscilla? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, it's me, Genevieve. I had a mask on, but that was literally my face. Okay, and when I tell you, like, my mouth was open, like, my jaw dropped to the ground because the reason why I didn't think this was possible, like, that it was actually her, was because let me give you the backstory of how I know her. So, when I was in middle school, I had a really good friend of mine who used to live in New Hampshire, and she met this girl that I met on set, Jen, right? Her name is Genevieve. So our mutual friend lived in New Hampshire and moved back to California. I forgot the reason, but it was like back when she was like really young, maybe like elementary school. Um, and so by the time like middle school came around, she was already in California, and that's where I met that mutual friend. And we became besties and we really hit it off. We would hang out all the time. And she was like, one of my best friend from New Hampshire is coming to visit me. And this is back when I was like in sixth grade, I think. So I was like, cool, yeah, like I'm excited. Like I'm excited to meet her. And like, and I definitely wanted a friend from another state. So I was so down, so willing to meet her. And I remember I met her and we hit it off instantly. The three of us had in common like making music videos on the Apple laptops. That's why I got so good at using the Apple laptops also, is because ever since I was like really young, I'd make music videos and like iMovies and short movies on my laptop. So, you know, I would learn like the shortcuts and all that on there. And we would do like music videos and like lip sync and pretend like we were like in the music video and like try to create stories around the like song lyrics and stuff. Honestly, it was a really fun time. Like when I think back about on that, I'm like, damn, that's when like life was easy and chill and you just like didn't really have to like worry about anything. At least not having to pay bills, right? So so she would come every summer for like 3 or 4 years. Basically, all of my middle school, all of the years I was in middle school, she came every summer. And my birthday is in the summer. I'm a Leo, so she would come like end of July and then stay like that first week of August to be there for my birthday. Because, like I said, we hit it off right away. So when she started coming the following summers, she started planning it to be there on my birthday. Because I think the first time it just happened to be an accident that she was there on my birthday. But I was like, obviously, come, you know, you're invited. And then I had a birthday party and she would come to the birthday parties and it was fun. Like, I had like totally forgot about this like chapter in my life because it was so long ago. Like, it wasn't even high school, it was middle school. So it's like really back there, like not back. But like I said, when she like confirmed it was her, my jaw was just like, and I was like, how, what, when, how long, where, who, you know, like all the questions. But I'm also at work, right? And I'm supposed to test like all these people. So it's like I couldn't just be like, let's chat, like give me the full rundown. I had to like be very in between like people and when we have like the opportunity. So I still haven't had that like catch up sesh with her that I would love to have. Trust me, we already planned it. We're gonna do it. But we did try to sneak in some conversation in there. So turns out she moved from New Hampshire like about almost like a year ago or something. She lives in like K-Town, which is not too far from me. And it's just so crazy that we happen to re-bump into each other on a fucking big production. Like, what are the odds in that? And that makes me start thinking about the fucking bigger picture. Like, I don't know if I'm like too out there for this, but I feel like the universe brought us together. Like, I almost feel like she might be someone that was always someone who was supposed to be in my life. And like, eventually I was going to cross paths with her. And like, eventually I was always going to like meet her. It's weird, but like, when you think about it, I met her when I was like 12 years old, about to turn 13. And we hit it off, right? I saw her from like 13 to like 16. So that was like 12, 13 years ago. It's been over 10 years. Oh, God. And when you think about it, you're just like, what? Like, when you really sit back and think about how long ago you were in middle school and how long ago you started high school, yeah, it's a shocker. Take a second and literally just think and do the math. Like, how many years ago did you graduate middle school? I already graduated high school 6 years ago and middle school like 9 years ago. Oh my God, I'm stressed. Anyway, yeah, so I haven't seen Jen in like 10 years. But you know what? Even though she looks like she just has the same face, but like obviously we look like we like aged a little bit, like, but in a good way, like, you know, filling out the clothes more, you know? But it was just so trippy. I'm just like, what? And we were just like talking, and we were like talking about our childhood and like people that we used to hang out with, and just like certain names that I used to hear every day that I hadn't heard in years. And not because I didn't want to, it's just because, after years and years of going your separate ways, it's hard to jump back to certain relationships, not every relationship. Honestly, when I saw Jen, it was literally like nothing ever happened. It like we just like fell right back into it, and it felt warm and like happy and cozy, which I was really excited about. Because I literally just, all I have is like good memories attached to her. And, she knew our friend group. She knew everything about everything. And it was cool. She has been to like my family. She's been to my family party. She's been to my birthday party. Like, so she's, been there for all that. So it was really exciting and comforting to see her. Not only was it shocking because it was at my new job. So I'm just like, whoa, if I didn't take this new job, and what was even crazier? Sorry, I wasn't even supposed to work that day. I actually got asked if I can cover someone, if I could, go on set because they didn't have enough people, or they wanted like extra people because there's going to be a lot of people that were going to get tested that day. So I'm just sitting here like tripping out because I'm like, if I didn't take that shift, I maybe wouldn't have bumped into her. Like, I do believe I would have bumped into her eventually somehow in LA, but it would have taken longer. So it just like I said, it's just so crazy that we bumped into each other. Like, I really feel like we're meant to be in each other's lives. Like, it's crazy. Like, some people are just really destined to be in your life. And to me, if a friendship, and no, it's not even a friendship. If any relationship fades or ends, or you get busy, once you start adulting, you have to put in a lot of work. It's tiring. Maybe you're in a relationship, maybe you have kids, maybe you're, there's different obligations. Everyone's going through life at different pace, and like at a different pace, at a different speed. For me, it's like the way I see it is, if like life took you your separate ways and you were still able to reconnect and find each other years later, the relationship was meant to be there. You know what I mean? Like, if it comes back to you, it's meant to happen. Like, I just feel like no friendship is worth like begging for, or like feeling like it's like too much of a committed relationship. Like, it should be like 50-50, meet me in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, and with some people, you really feel that click and that connection. Not with everyone, but with some people you do. And when you do have that, it's pretty magical and special. So anyway, Jen, if you're watching this, I'm so excited that I got to see you on set, and I'm so excited to hang out. And the universe literally brought us together. I'm so excited to work on future projects together. Not to mention, she's trying to be a cinematographer. I write and I direct. Fucking dream team! Like, this is literally why I love like going on set, because you meet connections, you make connections, you meet people, you talk to people that you wouldn't like think like, would necessarily be doing this. Like, if you think about it, I'm doing the COVID testing on set. She's the COVID compliance officer, making sure that you're wearing your mask and keeping the distance. So, we're not usually the type of people on that set that would be seen as like future directors and cinematographers. Like I said in my other podcast episode, you never know who's peeing on your set, and then in the next set, they're directing. You never know. Like, opportunities arise at all different points in different ways, and you never know. So I'm super excited to collab in the future and hopefully bring her on the podcast, and we can talk more about this crazy story and our experience on sets. But besides that, like I said, a typical day in my shoes at my work would just be doing that. And if I don't do that on set, like I would be doing it at the office, there's that option as well. You do the same exact thing. We set up a pop-up tent. You set up the table, your laptop, everything's all good. And then you're checking everyone in. It's usually not as busy. Like, instead of Mondays are pretty busy because that's like the start of the week. Everyone needs to get tested for that week, blah, blah, blah. A lot of productions want Monday to be the first day of testing, so you're like clean for the week or whatever. So maybe like on a Monday, like today, there was like a 10-person line out front, like at the office waiting to get tested. But like the day that I was working, like one person would come every like 30 minutes. So it just depends on the day. And like it's pretty chill, to be honest. I mean, sometimes it sucks having to be out front because it gets really hot. Like for some reason we've been having this really weird like heat wave. So it's been like stupid hot, like 94 degrees, and you just start like sweating. And it's weird because the shifts are early, right? So it's like it's really deceiving. You start work and it's like cold. You're like, oh, like it's so cold. So you're putting on this like big ass sweater and like sweats or whatever, or, like pants, and then you're wearing the mask on top of that. And then like out of nowhere, like at like 9 a.m., this fucking sun just starts beaming on your black hair. I'm like, I feel attacked. Starts beaming on you, and you're just like so hot, and you're sitting out there, and it's just like, ugh. So I guess that job isn't, or that position isn't always ideal if it's really hot out. I haven't had to do that part yet, or the set job when it's been really cold yet, like freezing, or like raining. So I'll definitely keep you guys posted on how that's going to go down, because I feel like that's going to make the experience completely different as well. Like obviously having good weather adds a lot to like my mood. And I don't know how I would react to rain just pouring down, and like I can't even imagine, like you'd have to have it organized that you would be set up inside because you can't have the equipment out in the rain. So it's like a lot of things to think about. But that's the main part of my job. So that was the processing part. Um, but I also am a slash runner. So a runner is when you're not on set, or when you're not, doing the intake at the office, then you just be essentially running the tests to the lab. And in that case, you would, make sure at the end of the day, when all the tests are like input and done and ready to go to get sent to the lab, you just make sure, like, you count for them, how many there are, what production they're coming from, how many, whatever, like how fast they need to be processed, whatever the case may be. And after you do that, they send you the address and you drive to the lab. Depending on which lab you go to, it's different distances. It could be anywhere from West Hollywood, Burbank, Santa Ana, Irvine. So it kind of is hit or miss when you're driving, because you don't know where you're going to end up. And I mean, most people would be like, oh, it's like Uber. Like, who cares? Like, you're just getting paid to be in the car, listening to music, literally making sure you're dropping off the test results safely, right? Making sure it gets there. But I don't know. I'm not like, I just feel like I don't mind driving, but as soon as it's like traffic driving, I go crazy. And when I had to run, I did kind of get the shitty shift. I'm assuming because I got the weekend off the following weekend, because I flew home for my grandma's 75th birthday, but grandma is priority. Like I'm going to, you always should go see your grandparents. So obviously like that was going to be my first priority. So if I was like, okay, if I can get the weekend off, then I'll work the following weekend. And so I did, and I had the 2 p.m. till 10:30 shift. So I had to close, which was my first time closing. But like I said, they have me doing all the new positions to kind of see like where they can fill me in, and I can kind of fill in the roles more than just like those two positions. So basically when I did the drive, there was no test that needed to get driven to the lab during the day. Not until like 5:30 did the freaking test need to be driven. And anyone who knows LA, anyone who lives in California, if you drive at 5:30, you're going to hit traffic. And not like that, like just like slow traffic. It's like bumper to bumper, and you literally want to pull your hair out. And so I basically had to drive really far all the way to the lab, drop it off. I came back. I was like, I did it. I survived. Like I waited in the traffic. And like they were like, okay, we got another order that needs to be sent out. You have to do that drive again. Obviously it's work, so it's like I can't be like upset. And I knew like that was going to be part of the job as well, but I haven't been doing that position. That was the first time doing it. Like luckily I've been on set this whole time and doing testing at the office. So those were the two things that I was doing. So I didn't really have to deal with like traffic and all that stuff. It was very just like this is when you're doing this and this is when you're off. So I was like, cool, great. So doing the runs was definitely different because it was like, up to you. Like if you don't drop off the results, if you don't drop off the vials at the lab, then that shit ain't going through. And then the whole production is not gonna be able to shoot because of you. So it's a lot of pressure. But anyway, I had to do the drive, hit traffic again. It took me an hour and 20 minutes one way. I'm not going to tell you where I was going, but somewhere that was an hour and 20 minutes away. I think it's more like an hour distance away, but because of traffic, it added an extra 20 minutes. And you may think like, oh, 20 minutes isn't that bad. 20 minutes is bad. Pros and cons about this is you don't have to drive your own car. So there's company work cars. So you're driving like a Prius around and you're being eco-friendly. So it feels good, whatever. The con is like they're not the newest Priuses, so not all of them have Bluetooth, and some of them the radio is like a little staticky. So I basically was just playing tunes off my phone, like not even connecting to the Bluetooth because it's all like staticky and shit. After I did the second run, I got back. It was like 10:30. Actually, no, because I hit traffic, so I didn't even get back to 11 p.m. But I was closing, so I just had to set the alarm. Put the keys back. Turn everything off, turn off the lights, and then I clocked out. And that's like a day in the life of Priscilla's new job. It sounds like a lot, but honestly, it's actually not that crazy. But there is a lot going on. You do have to know the differences between the tests because, you could really fuck up a production. So you want to pay attention. Being organized, taking your time, not rushing through things is definitely key because it gets a little like, you feel that pressure sometimes when you want to be fast and get through the line quick and not have people waiting, especially because, especially that early people are frustrated. They don't want to wait that long. And so you're trying to like power through, but you don't want to make any mistakes because if you do, then that's on you. So it's best to just take your time, let there be a little line, even if people are getting upset or because it happens, people are going to be grumpy, but also people will understand that, you're going to take your time so that there's no error. And usually when you have like a little bit of side conversation and like stuff like that, it's all water under the bridge. So I definitely have been enjoying the first 2 weeks of my job. It's not for everyone, I feel like you definitely have to be into like the film industry or you have to be in health. Like those two things have to interest you. Like you're not going to just want to do it if you have no interest in any of that. Like I feel like it would sound boring maybe, but I think once you get the hang and feel of it, it's something that is great and it's great. It's a great opportunity and job to pay the bills. And I'm really grateful and happy that I got this opportunity and it's not too far away from where I live. So all smiles here. But I just wanted to give you guys like a rundown of how like the first 2 weeks have been going because like I said, I made a whole episode on getting the job and how I was so excited and like what I binge watched during my whole like applying process. But, it's different when you first apply versus like actually working the job 2 weeks in. So just wanted to give you guys a real honest update because at the end of the day, like I want my podcast to be real, genuine, and honest. Like I'm not gonna sit here and feed you some bullshit of like it's all glamorous and fairy tale. Like no, I want to be honest and real. Like I have to wake up pretty fucking early. Like yes, I got to be around possible celebrities, possible Oscar-winning directors, like big name people, right? But at the same time, there's the chance of having to wake up stupid early. Like your day starts at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., and sometimes you might miss dinner, breakfast with people that you love just because you're working all these crazy hours. Sometimes you deal with really high up people that kind of talk down to you. So it's just how you handle it and how you go about it. But it's been definitely a learning experience and very eye-opening. I mean, I kind of expected certain things to be like the way that they are. But once you see it for yourself and do it yourself and have your firsthand experience, it's very different than just like, oh, this is what I think, right? So I just wanted to give a brief little summary, honest breakdown of what I've been doing and if it's like what I expected or not. And it is no, honestly, it's not what I expected. It's actually better than I expected. I actually thought I was just going to be working at the office and doing COVID testing there and dropping off at the lab. So having the opportunity to actually be physically on set and be around all those people, it's amazing. And I'm really happy about that. yeah, and then sometimes you work overtime, because 8 hours is a regular shift. So if you work more than 8 hours, you get overtime and it's double the pay, which that is a nice thing to see in the bank account. It definitely helps. You get paid weekly, which is pretty great because, like I said, waiting 2 weeks can be sometimes long, but I can't complain. I'm happy about it. But before I end this episode, my week was not over. I worked all week, right? So every day I was at work. And at the same time, I had to prepare myself to act in Peekaboo 3. For anyone who doesn't know what Peekaboo 3 is, go check it out right now. It's on YouTube. Laserbot Films, Peekaboo. Peekaboo 1 and 2 should be on YouTube. Peekaboo 3 is coming out for Halloween this year. I'm super excited because I get to play Megan, the older sister of the main character in this short story. I don't want to give away too much, so if you like scary movies, you want to get in the Halloween mood, check out Peekaboo and tell me what you think. I want to see it in the comments. But anyway, so Jose has been my good friend for like 4 years now, maybe a little bit over 4 years. He's like one of the first people I met in film school. He's from the Bay Area. I'm from the Bay Area. He's Mexican. I'm Mexican. We bonded instantly. So we've been besties for a really long time. And, whatever project he needs me to work on, I got his back. And I genuinely feel that from him too, which is pretty solid. When you meet those solid people and have those relationships, fucking hold on to that, because it's not common to click and be able to work with someone that great and be able to create art and grow and learn and come up together. Love that. Nothing feels better than working with your friends and creating a film, creating art, creating something that was just like an idea and them helping you bring it to life, or me helping him bring it to life. Like, it's just like a really cool feeling. And so when he originally came to me and was like, hey, do you want to act in the film? I was a little hesitant. I was like, like, I want to do it for you because you're the homie and like, I got you. But I haven't acted since Amityville Terror. And if anyone has been like following my life at all, or the podcast, you would know that I did Amityville Terror back in 2016. So I had just graduated high school. I was a freshman in college. I was 19 years old, and I did a scary movie. I was one of the mean girls. I played Claire, and I'm kind of a bully, and like I pick on the new girl. And spoiler alert, I get stabbed in the throat. I liked it. It was a really fun and cool experience, but acting wasn't like it wasn't like fully me. Like I felt like it didn't 100% click. Like I enjoyed it and I liked the idea about it, but I was like, this is not my talent. But I was like, I want to do something with movies, right? So I realized it was writing and directing, like actually creating the story, being in charge of the visuals and the acting and all that. So, and the camera angles and the tone, the mood, the color, everything. I just want to be in charge. Like, your girl wanted to be in charge. I love writing. I love directing. I love doing wardrobe. Like, that has been what I've been doing on set. So back to the acting, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then like, before I realized I had already agreed, I was like, fuck, what did I agree to? Like, I'm not an actress. Like, I'm like, yeah, I was on a reality TV show with Dr. Phil for like 5 seconds, but like, it was just me being myself, like in the kitchen. So it's like, I didn't have to play like anyone or act or put on a front. I was just being myself, talking about a situation that was important to me. But in Amityville Terror, I had to like, put on a whole like bitch act. So it was, which it wasn't that hard, but it was fun, but it wasn't like my strong suit, I felt. So when I was preparing for this shoot, also I'm working I was working that whole week. So literally the whole routine that I was explaining, that was like going on while I was like also trying to like do wardrobe and learn these lines, because I was like, okay, I'll act in your film, Jose, but I also want to do wardrobe because I wanted more of like a behind the scenes or crew kind of credit versus talent, because I'm just like, I'm not talented like this with acting. But your girl did it. So before preparing for the acting, I was like, oh, I got to find the outfits, the wardrobe for the film. And it was pretty chill because I like basically would just pick out clothes for myself, for my character. I would ask the cast like, hey, send me pictures of like what you have that would match this color palette, this mood or whatever. It's casual or whatever. And then I help pick the outfits. So that was all dealt with. So essentially I really just needed to find an outfit for the monster. The monster is like some creepy, like Wendigo, like crawling. I don't want to give too much away. Anyway, the monster is some creepy ass creature that I'm not going to say much more because I don't want to spoil the movie. But I had to like find some like American Horror Story looking type coat and scarf. Like if you're watching the new American Horror Story, the beach town, the double feature, like those vampires that are wearing those like coats, it's kind of like that style but in brown, and then like a scarf, like another like darker maroon scarf, and like a hoodie, and it's gonna be like the creepy outfit. So I had to find that, right? And I was like, okay, like I'm gonna have to leave set and then go to like Goodwill. I went to a Goodwill and I feel like I accidentally went to like the sorting center and it was like the wrong place. And I was like, oh my God, they like it's not organized. So I was like, oh my God, like running out of time to like go to another one. So I went to another one and it was like a 180 to the last Goodwill. They had like all these options. I had like Halloween costumes, like literally a whole ass like room filled with shit. I found everything within like 10 minutes. I was like, oh my God, like amazing. Like this Goodwill fucking killed it. It's the Goodwill on Victory and Van Nuys. If just a shout out to the Goodwill. But yeah, I got all the freaking outfits for $20. Like amazing. So I got the outfits, got that all dealt with, had it all organized, and then I was like, okay, now I need to like learn my lines because I am doing wardrobe, but I'm also acting, right? And my scene was going to be shot on day 2, so I didn't have all this time to just like fuck around and wait around. So I was like, okay, gotta learn my lines, and it just like wasn't sticking. Like I hadn't like I haven't had to like learn or memorize lines in months, years. Usually I'm making people memorize lines that I'm coming up with because I'm screenwriting or directing. So I was on the other side of things and I was like, fuck, like I gotta memorize lines. And, sometimes like you want to say things differently or like word it differently, but you want to stay close to like what it says in the script, unless you talk to the director and they're like, you can tweak it a little bit. It's fine if it's not exactly like I wrote it. But that really depends on the director, and it's not really your call as an actor to make, to just be like, I'm going to change all the lines, like if that communication is there with the director, totally go do it. And sometimes you even get better results because it flows more naturally of how you would actually talk versus like how I write it. And I love telling my actors, like, say however it feels natural. Like I might have worded it wrong because like English is my third language. So if you feel like it's going to be more natural saying it this way than that way, fucking do it. You're probably right. We're learning together. We're making a movie. We want it to be great. We don't want it. I don't have this ego of like, no, I wrote it this way. Like it has to be that way. That shit ain't going to get you anywhere. So you have to learn how to work together for sure. Anyway, I'm trying to learn the lines. It's not sticking. I'm like, how do I do this? Your girl literally learned the lines by singing them. I'm not even joking. Like my lines are so serious. So I basically couldn't memorize these lines. And I was like, what can I do to make it easy on myself? No joke. I started singing the fucking lines. And the lines weren't even like happy, jolly lines. Like I was literally being the bearer of bad news. Like I was like telling my sister that our mom was like, her cancer was spreading or something, right? So it was like super serious conversation, but I was like, I cannot memorize these lines. So I started singing them. And I swear, like once I started singing them, like I was just like it was like so easy. I literally like got the lines. Obviously, like it took a little while, but after like singing it a couple times, I was like, bam, bam. I was like, damn, okay. Maybe singing is the way to like memorize lines for me. And then I started thinking back about school, and I was like, damn, if math was like a song all the time, like there times 4 is 16, like I probably would have actually aced math. But anyway, the song, singing it made it so much easier. Like just going, like I was just like making up a beat and just going around the house like rehearsing my lines, but essentially singing, and it worked and it helped and it was great. I went on set, we shot. It was a very small crew, very just like the homies just doing what they got to do. And yeah, I don't want to give away too much because I want you guys to watch it. But if you guys want to see me make a cameo appearance in Peekaboo 3, make sure to check it out. It's coming out October 31st for Halloween. It's the trilogy. It's the third film. Keep an eye out for that. And I'm excited to share that with you guys. But I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in, stepping into my shoes, really getting the full picture of what I do. Because I know I've been getting a lot of questions too, like, what are you doing on set? Like, I see you on set. Like, what's your job? Blah, blah. So I just wanted to clear that up and kind of give you a little rundown of what I really do. And who knows, like, things might change, things always change. So, stay up to date with the follow up. I'm sure I'm going to do another follow up in a couple weeks or a month or so just to see if anything has changed. I think things are going to change because the film industry is going to go on strike. So apparently productions are going to be on hold. So I don't really know what that means for my job, because like I said, we test for big productions. I don't know if we have a lot of independent productions. I don't know if it covers it. Like if that'll, I don't know. Like I don't know if I'm gonna be working as much as I am now. So I definitely want to take advantage of the situation as much as I can, work, until I can't. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'm excited to see you guys next week. Bye.